hey, how much fun is this? We're having Chow fun with the governor here on Maui Causes.
2016 is really shaping up to be a great year for Hawaii, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the opportunities that I see coming. For the first time in the history of the United States, a state is hosting the International Union of Conservation Congress, and it is the premier organization for conservation in the world, and Hawaii will be the first state in the United States to host this Congress. They'll be here 2 weeks in September, and we are encouraging the organizers to encourage the people who come here for the Congress to visit the neighbor islands. And the host committee is organizing and looking at site visits and other demonstration projects that they can highlight that talks about how Hawaii is committed to conservation in a way that no other state in the country is, and clearly that we can be a showcase for the rest of the world.
I wonder how Hawaii is seen as a conservation state when 80 to 90% of our food is imported, that the state has allowed large agricultural companies to dominate our agricultural system, so that a state that back 40 years ago had 90% of our food grown locally is now to 80, 90% imported. The natural resources that the state has, our water is regulated through a system that allowed HCNS through ENI to have permits to take the water that have now been shown to be faulty, that the permit process violated the public trust. And we're now seeing also HCNS dealing with claims that the permit process for their burning also violated the public trust. We had senators here on the island not so long ago doing a talk story similarly, and they were asked about the public trust doctrine and what they knew about it. And the only answer that they had was that the public trust doctrine was what allowed the public to access the beach. And that was the extent of their knowledge. They had no real knowledge that the public trust doctrine also covered the well-being and benefit of the state's water, air, land, and other natural resources. That the state is uniquely charged here in Hawaii. Most states don't have a public trust doctrine, but the state of Hawaii is uniquely charged with looking out for the best interests of those public natural resources. Given that large companies have been given such preferential treatment that now water permits, burn permits could perhaps be seen as illegal. In HCNS's transition out of chemical monocropping, will there be oversight? Are you committed to creating oversight so that the processes through which agriculture is practiced going forward here on Maui is not abusive and exploitative of the public's natural resources?
Sure. You know, there are many things that will occur as part of this transition from HCNS into whatever the future is. It's very clear that diversified agriculture, which produces a lot of the food that we eat, will be part of that future. You know, I am committed to increasing the amount of food produced here locally for consumption. And we do know that there are many who want to be in farming to increase the production of food. So, you know, I think that the conversation about the future of the HCNS lands will involve the entire communities. I think that there will be many decisions that need to be made that will determine the use of that land in the future going forward. And so I certainly would invite all of you to get involved and stay engaged, because clearly there will be many changes that will result with the end of sugar production on Maui, and that there will be lots of conversation about what that future should be. So again, thank you all for coming.
Governor, if I may ask you, you mentioned that the public would have an opportunity to participate in the decision-making process.
Well, they wouldn't. I mean, there's no explicit process, right? Because
that's what I was going to ask about.
But there'll be lots of dialogue about what the future uses are. I mean, obviously, it'll end up being a business decision by IUCN. But the lands are committed to be in agriculture for at least 36,000 of the acres.
So is the state interested in creating alternative programs so that there can be additional diversity beyond what HCNS chooses to do?
Well, we are in the process of establishing diversified ag parks. We're trying to establish them on all of the islands. So, we definitely are committed to giving people opportunity to grow food for us to eat.
The food security is actually a big issue.
Yes.
On the Big Island, there are demonstration projects. For instance, there's a family that lives on a quarter acre of land that is raising 6 pigs. And their neighbors don't know that they're raising pigs.
Yes, I've actually visited the farm.
What's your impression?
That's very, very innovative. Very exciting. It certainly seems like, and they were looking at working with other farmers to get byproducts for food and other things that made the farm more sustainable than usual.
Right. Would the state support development of those kinds of alternative, and they're very alternative?
Yes, we do have, and we are expanding the ag loan program to be able to support various different kind of opportunities. We are trying to shift the focus of the Department of Agriculture to support small farms rather than big farms, and so that definitely is a focus. We do know that we need to support different kinds of opportunities in how we move forward in agriculture.
The nation of South Korea has adopted the techniques proven by Master Chow and his son, Young Sung Chow. And they have recently been to the Big Island for a presentation of their techniques. We're looking to bring them here to establish, we may be able to find some land, 300 acres, for them to participate and do a demonstration project to show how their processes can remediate the soil and can be a low-cost alternative to chemical commercial agriculture. They don't have the labor or infrastructure resources to create that demonstration project. Is there any chance that the state would support an organization such that the entire nation of South Korea has adopted their techniques? Would the state find a way to support a demonstration project of their techniques?
Well, it's a couple things, right? We need to be fair treatment to everyone. I mean, there are existing pig farmers in the state, so we obviously can't be providing assistance that's not available to all the other farmers. I do know that HCNS is looking at livestock production on a portion of their lands that that it might be workable for Mr. Chow or any other farmer. I do know that they consider livestock production part of what they would envision happening on the lands that they will have available.
What is needed for those processes here in the United States to come to fruition would be sort of clinical studies, stuff that is actually, doing precise measurements and can validate the processes that the Chows have developed. Could the state find a way to support that kind of process?
I do know that the College of Tropical Agriculture has been engaged with the Chows and understanding what the processes are. So, I mean, I think the university is the perfect place to help to validate and substantiate, you know, the viability, large scale of scaling the technology. So I don't know specifically about whether, you know, it's viable or not. I mean, ultimately, some private sector company is going to have to make the decision that they believe it's viable and do the expansion. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, of course. Obviously, the problem with the university doing studies is that just as the university does studies that support genetic modification and the use of high-use chemical agriculture, the university has a vested interest through its sponsorship to continue and support the chemical monocropping that's done by the big ag companies. In fact, it's our understanding that studies are being done of Korean natural farming by the universities, and those studies are designed to show that the Korean natural farming would not be effective. Those studies that are currently being engaged at the university level are actually expected and designed to disprove what the entire nation of South Korea has adopted, and they're going to try and kill this kind of agriculture because it is ultimately a threat to the benefit of those large agricultural corporations. And it is the best solution for you as individuals here, especially in Maui County, for us to be able to adopt these natural farming techniques rather than rely on chemical agriculture. There's a big difference between the two. They are essentially mutually exclusive because the Roundup that is used in chemical monocropping here on Maui and across the country, actually, Roundup, the active ingredient glyphosate, was originally patented as an antibiotic. And the fundamental principle of Korean natural farming is that you want to create as much biodiversity in bacteria and fungal matter in the soil because that's what nature does. So using an antibiotic near fields where the bacteria is a fundamental part of the agricultural process makes those two things mutually exclusive. And why should the rights of farmers who want to use Korean natural farming, why should their ability to do that be trumped by the interests of chemical manufacturers and seed companies that are growing seed as a commercial product, taking it off the islands, and not providing any food for the people to eat? It's a huge schism in the policies of agriculture here in Hawaii and specifically here in Maui, and stay tuned because there's so many of these issues that are coming to a head. You need to pay attention to it. We all need to pay attention to it and support these alternative methods and understand that the system is rigged. Understand that the regulators on the federal level, the regulators on the state level are not paying attention. They've not done their job. They have violated the public trust. Lawsuits are there, and there will be more. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Maui Causes. I'm Sam Small. Go to mauicauses.org. Thank you for your time and attention. Okay, let's see how this chow fun is. This program is brought to you as a public service by Maui Causes. Maui Causes is a crowd-funded media production group that provides media production services to a variety of environmental and progressive causes here in Maui County. Visit us on the web at www.mauicauses.org.